So, dear colleagues, we will start the examination of item 7 related to the state of conservation of World Heritage properties. Before we hear the presentation of the document 45.com-7 by the Secretariat, I would like to inform you that, as discussed and agreed during the Bureau meeting this morning, we will immediately start with the adoption of the draft decision of 3 reports related to item 7A. These reports are 7A-31, the old city of journalism and its walls proposed by Jordan. 7A-38, Hebron al-Khalil, Old Town, Palestine. 7A-39, Palestine, the land of olives and vines, cultural landscape of southern Jerusalem, Batir, Palestine. Please note that these draft decisions were the subject of intense negotiations and have been agreed upon by all the parties concerned. Furthermore, I would like to inform you that the consensus implies that statement or declaration be made after the adoption of draft, no statement or declarations be made after the adoption of these draft decision. Dear committee members, are there any comments concerning on this matter? Anyone? So I see no objection. Draft decision 7A-31, 7A-38, and 7A-39 are therefore adopted. Okay, I see. So also, I would like to announce that we have received several requests to open a new state of conservation report for discussion and one withdrawal, as follows. 7B.35, Rock Hewin Churches in Libya submitted in Ethiopia, and 7A.55, the Historic Center of Vienna in Austria. 3B.3, W. Arli Bidinjara Complex in Benin, which is withdrawn. The Secretariat will therefore circulate document INF.7.REV.5 with the final list of SOC reports for discussion. As the request for Vienna came at a late stage, it will only be discussed tomorrow. Now we shall proceed with the examination of item 7. Dear colleagues, according to the paragraph 190 of the operational guidelines, the committee shall review annually the status of conservation of properties on the list of World Heritage in danger. We have now reached this crucial part of our agenda, which is at the heart of the convention. Before we start with the examination of individual state of conservation reports, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Lazar Ilundo Asomo, the Director of World Heritage Center, to introduce this item. Mr. Director, you have the floor. So, Ms. Deputy Director, you may take the floor.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. The World Heritage Convention is one of the most successful international instruments for the conservation of natural and cultural heritage properties. This session, you will examine the reports on the state of conservation of 260 World Heritage properties, including the 55 properties inscribed on the list of World Heritage in danger. The Convention's unique reactive monitoring process contributes greatly to the efficient monitoring and mitigation of threats affecting the properties. This document also identifies some global World Heritage conservation issues emerging from the state of conservation reports. Next, please. I'm very pleased to say, next slide, thank you. I'm very pleased to say that this year we have a very high response rate, with 96% of all reports requested by the committee to states parties submitted. Next, please. In response to the committee's concern regarding improving the perception of the list of World Heritage in danger, at the request of the committee, the World Heritage Center launched a study to overcome the negative perception around the list of World Heritage in danger. With Norway's generous support, the World Heritage Center commissioned the international communications agency Beyond Borders Media to carry out a study that was published in May 2022. A series of interviews as well as an online survey were conducted to collect inputs from all stakeholders of the convention. The study concluded that the recommendations calling for a fresh perspective on the list of World Heritage in danger, emphasizing that the list can be a powerful lever for change, encouraging action, promoting dialogue, and identifying networks of resources that can greatly benefit the property. A second matter of statutory concern is on climate action for World Heritage. To continue to respond effectively to the evolving need for action relating to climate change, the World Heritage Committee launched a process to update its 2007 document on climate action for World Heritage, World Heritage and climate policy. A draft updated policy document which includes specific goals for climate risk assessment, adaptation, mitigation, as well as knowledge sharing, capacity building and awareness was prepared in 2020 and 2021 by the World Heritage Center with the assistance of a technical advisory group of experts. It was further revised at the request of the World Heritage Committee by a panel of experts in March of 2022. An open-ended working group of states parties met 7 times to consider the text in view of its final adoption by the General Assembly in November 2023. Next, please. I will now move to address some of the global conservation issues that have emerged and seem most significant this year. With regard to emergency situations resulting from conflicts, conflicts continue to be a major threat to World Heritage properties and remains as one of the main reasons for inscription on the list of World Heritage in danger. This also underscores the tragic loss of human life, as well as the destruction and damage to cultural and natural heritage. UNESCO's actions to mobilize the international community for the protection of endangered cultural and natural heritage sites include some World Heritage properties in the African countries such as Benin, Burkina Faso, Ethiopia, Niger, and Sudan, that were particularly affected by conflict during the last year. In Mali, for instance, local communities living in the vicinity of the Bandiagara cliffs are abandoning their villages to take refuge in more secure parts of the country. Other threats, such as poaching and illegal logging, are often closely linked to conflicts and the presence of armed groups, such as the World Heritage properties of Okavango Delta in Botswana and the Zimbabwean Mana Pools National Park, where there is substantial poaching of elephants. Further efforts are needed to eradicate illegal wildlife trade, including through cooperation with the Convention on International Trade in Endangered Species of Wild Fauna and Flora, CITES. A new MOU between UNESCO and CITES was signed in June of 2023. UNESCO is working with the International Alliance for Heritage Protection in Conflict Zones to strengthen the protection of the site and the tomb of Askia in Mali, work with ALIF, this is the same international alliance, for heritage protection in conflict zones is also being carried out in Afghanistan on the archaeological remains of Jam and in Iraq on the House of Prayer in Mosul. An emergency operation has also been set up in the town of Lalibela, which is home to the World Heritage Site of the rock-hewn churches in Ethiopia. A rapid assessment of the 8 sites comprising The property, as well as other relevant heritage sites within Bamiyan, was also conducted to assess their preservation status and, in the case of the sites within the heritage property, the maintenance of their OUV. UNESCO continues its efforts to support the Ministry of Culture and Information policy of Ukraine in order to coordinate international activities and initiatives, including for the urgent securing and stabilization of immovable cultural heritage. UNESCO has established thematic working groups, including the advisory bodies to the World Heritage Committee, among others, to facilitate the next steps in safeguarding Ukraine's cultural heritage, in particular through a joint action plan for culture in Ukraine. Next slide, please. With regard to recovery and reconstruction, no, sorry, I think that was the previous one. Can we go back to the previous slide? Thank you. With regard to recovery and reconstruction, the website dedicated to post-conflict and post-disaster reconstruction and recovery created by the World Heritage Center and various initiatives and projects noted new and foreseen resources and publications and serves as information source following disasters or conflicts. UNESCO has led several activities to help practitioners, national and local authorities, and international organizations integrate culture into all phases of reconstruction and rehabilitation processes in urban crisis situations following conflict or natural disaster. Several projects have been implemented by UNESCO to ensure the safeguarding of properties inscribed on the list of World Heritage in Danger. For example, following the launch of the flagship initiative Reviving the Spirit of Mosul in February in 2018, UNESCO continued its action in favor of the rehabilitation and recovery of Iraqi cultural heritage. Along the same lines, after a decade of work, the reconstruction of the Mazibu Azala Mbanga on the site of the tombs of the King of Buganda in Kasubi, Uganda, is nearing completion. While recovery and reconstruction activities are recognized as important to the conservation of attributes that sustain the outstanding universal value of some heritage properties, it is critical that the integrity of the World Heritage properties, that the reconstruction only occur in such exceptional circumstances and be well informed based on thorough documentation. Next, please. As we heard about the presentation of the director on the document 5A, the 15th Conference of Parties to the Convention on Biological Diversity, COP15, reached a landmark agreement in December 2022 called the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework, which sets out an ambitious pathway to halt and reverse biodiversity loss. The framework includes several targets which are highly relevant to the World Heritage Convention. Many processes and policy goals of the World Heritage Convention can therefore support states parties in implementing the Global Biodiversity Framework and their respective national biodiversity strategies and action plans, which are the main instruments for implementing the framework at the national level. The COP15 explicitly recognized the importance of cooperation and synergies between different conventions, as well as specific contributions of the biodiversity-related conventions in achieving the aims of the framework. And by its decision 15/13, it also invited them to formally endorse the GBF, the Global Biodiversity Framework, to support its operationalization. A related effort was the launch of the report in August 2023 entitled World Heritage, a Unique Contribution to for Biodiversity Conservation, which includes specific guidance to states parties on ways to integrate World Heritage priorities in their national biodiversity strategies and action plans. The World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies recommend that coordinated actions be identified and developed on World Heritage and Global Biodiversity Framework, subject to the availability of resources to better harness the World Heritage Convention in supporting the biodiversity agenda. I would like also to flag that UNESCO and IUCN will organize a side event on this topic on Friday evening. COP15 also renewed the mandate of the joint program of work on the links between biological and cultural diversity. Next, please. Urban pressures resulting from inadequately planned and rapid urban development, as well as mass tourism, remains a significant threat for World Heritage cities. It is essential to have integrated approaches that strengthen holistic governance, improve conservation outcomes, and contribute to sustainable development, and that implement more systematically the 2011 recommendation on the historic urban landscape as a tool to manage urban heritage and integrate heritage conservation with urban development plans and processes in the framework of sustainable development. Next, please. Development proposals, in particular for large infrastructure development, present a major threat to attributes which support the OUV. Following committee's decisions encouraging the World Heritage Center to continue its engagement with the private sector, in December 2022, UNESCO launched the World Heritage-specific standards on corporate sustainability, developed with financial support of the Government of Flanders and in consultation with the advisory bodies and private sector companies. The UNESCO guidance encourages companies to apply these standards across natural and mixed and cultural properties, and it is based on global principles on corporate sustainability, including the UN Global Compact, the UN Principles for Sustainable Insurance, among others. The International Hydropower Association, which collectively manages around a third of worldwide installed hydropower capacity, announced in September 2021 a commitment on World Heritage. It stipulates that no new hydropower projects should be developed in World Heritage properties and proposes a duty of care commitment to implement high standards of performance and transparency when affecting protected areas as well as candidate protected areas. UNESCO will organize a side event on corporate sustainability on Sunday, 17 September, during the lunchtime. Next, please. The World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies highlight the fundamental importance of ensuring a rights-based approach to the protection and management of World Heritage properties. States parties are reminded of the need to ensure that programs and activities related to the World Heritage Convention follow a human rights-based approach and promote the full participation of all rights holders and stakeholders, in particular indigenous peoples and local communities. In accordance with the 2015 policy on World Heritage and Sustainable Development, the UNESCO policy on engagement with indigenous peoples, as well as the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the international human rights standards. Next, please. Finally, on several occasions, the World Heritage Committee has advocated to make full use of Earth observation, satellite technologies, spatial data and analysis tools, remote sensing technologies for early detection of activities potentially harmful to the OUV of World Heritage properties. The World Heritage Center has therefore developed spatial data tools as a means to support the monitoring of state of World Heritage sites, such as the World Heritage Online Mapping Platform and the Urban Heritage Atlas Platform. The World Heritage Center has also strengthened collaborative partnerships with many relevant institutions, which led to the publication of flagship studies on the state of World Heritage forests in October 2021 and glaciers in November 2022, and biodiversity in August 2023. As you indicated, Mr. Chairperson, draft decisions 45, 7.1 and 7.2 will only be adopted at the end of the session to make any further reflections, take any further reflections into account, which you may have during the State of Conservation reports for 7A and 7B. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Deputy Director. So, dear colleagues, as you know, this year there are 2 draft decisions proposed for adoption within the related document 45.com-7. Decision 45.7.1 on statutory matters related to the reactive monitoring process, and Decision 45.7.2 on conservation issues. These reports spans over a 2-year period and is therefore very detailed. In addition, I would like to inform you that, as for the past years, this item will remain open to possibly take into account the debate held under agenda item 7A and 7B. The draft decision 7.1 and 7.2 will therefore only be adopted on the 24th of September, once we have completed the examination of item 7A and 7B. Dear colleagues, before we proceed with this item, I would like to inform you that since our last session in July 2021, the World Heritage Committee at large was saddened again by the loss of human lives, including devoted staff tragically lost their life while on duty, protecting our heritage against illegal activities within World Heritage sites. And I would like, in the name of the committee, to pay tribute to each one of them for their contribution to preservation of our precise heritage. Thank you very much. Now, I would like to give the floor to the advisory bodies for additional statement on this item. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the World Heritage Committee. ICOMOS continues to monitor the range of threats and pressures on the outstanding universal value of cultural World Heritage properties. Many of these threats have increased in their consequences, particularly including the impact of climate change, which calls for greater climate action, but also for climate change mitigation. Damage to cultural heritage and impact on the communities that inhabit them continues in many parts of the world due to conflict, resulting in large-scale destructions of monuments, housing precincts, and infrastructures. Conflict also gives rise to illicit trafficking of cultural objects. Protection, mitigation, and recovery of illicit trafficked cultural objects require international interinstitutional collaboration coupled with educational and advocacy targeting local experts and communities. Natural disasters have over the past years inflicted substantial damage on the built fabric of cultural properties and greatly impacting their resident communities, as recent said events remind the international community. Disaster response by UNESCO and the advisory bodies has contributed to limiting further consequent impacts on cultural heritage. Protection and conservation efforts are being undertaken by the concerned state parties at World Heritage properties in response to conflicts. State parties are progressively proceeding with the development of corrective measures and the definition of the desired state of conservation for the removal of properties from the list of the World Heritage in danger. A collaborative process to define the desired state of conservation and corrective measures has been instigated at some cultural properties subject to security concerns. This process is based on close collaboration between state parties, the World Heritage Center, and ICOMOS, and has shown itself to be of great value. Cultural and mixed World Heritage properties in urban areas continue to face challenges to the conservation of outstanding universal value. While attending to the needs of contemporary communities and responding to issues that arise from urban development projects, including those for new infrastructures and transport. The State of Conservation reports to this committee session highlight that as conservation and management plans and documents are prepared, there are considerable benefits arising from technical review to allow for dialogue and accommodation of external expert advice. The 2011 UNESCO recommendation on the historic urban landscapes remains an important tool for managing heritage in urban areas and settlements, as it calls for the integration of heritage conservation with urban development plans and process, and is implemented within the overall framework of the United Nations 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development. With a view to promoting good practices and heritage-based solutions for sustainable development, the online platform World Heritage Canopy, Heritage Solutions for Sustainable Futures, has been developed to share case studies and complement the solutions platform Panorama, Cities and Nature Culture, coordinated by IUCN, ICROM, and ICOMOS and partners, which integrates World Heritage-linked nature-based solutions across a range of themes. Infrastructure development, including renewable energy projects, remain a threat. The new guidance and toolkit for impact assessment in a World Heritage context, developed jointly by UNESCO World Heritage Center, ICROM, ICOMOS, IUCN, in collaboration with the International Association for Impact Assessment, and the specialized guidance for wind energy projects in a World Heritage context, provide assistance to state parties and industries on means of developing projects which preserve the attributes which support the outstanding universal value of World Heritage properties. ICOMOS too is pleased to continue its role in supporting state parties in ensuring the safeguard of world cultural heritage throughout concerted and proactive conservation efforts and embedded in a right-based approach. Thank you very much.
Shukran, and thank you, Mr. Chair. In 2023, we continue to see a range of threats and pressures on the outstanding universal value of natural world heritage around the world. From the impacts of climate change, pollution, and invasive species, to the importance of ensuring sustainable tourism recovery following the global COVID-19 pandemic. Inappropriate infrastructure development such as dams, mining, or tourism continues to place pressure on World Heritage sites and their OUV. IUCN takes this opportunity to, as others have in the past sessions, highlight the importance of impact assessment processes and draw attention to the new guidance and toolkit for impact assessments in a World Heritage context, which was published in 2022 in order to support World Heritage planners and decision makers around World Heritage. To also support the continued achievement of private sector no-go commitments in relation to World Heritage, the new no-go commitment guidance and global standards for corporate sustainability were also published. Insecurity and armed conflict not only impact management capacity in several natural properties, but have resulted in the further tragic loss of life of staff on the ground, as outlined by the Deputy Director of the World Heritage Center. Ensuring a clear rights-based approach to World Heritage, one which follows international standards and norms, including the recognition of Indigenous peoples and local communities, and which ensures free, prior, and informed consent in decision-making, remains a clear priority. Since the last committee session, as others have noted, we have seen major global conservation commitments, including the adoption of the Kunming-Montreal Global Biodiversity Framework in 2022, which sets the global biodiversity agenda to 2023, and also provides a framework for the nature-culture linkages that clearly exist between the biological and cultural diversity, which are central to the World Heritage Convention. And we invite you all to join the side event on Friday that the Deputy Director referred to, in order to discuss the unique contribution that World Heritage provides to the implementation of the GBF. Coordinated actions are needed between this convention and the GBF, as well as with the other biodiversity-related conventions, such as Ramsar, CITES, and CMS. Furthermore, the strengthening and scaling up of global action on climate change remains vital, including through the finalization of the updating of the policy document on climate action for World Heritage. In closing, IUCN is pleased to continue its role in supporting states, parties, and decision makers in ensuring a healthy and productive state of conservation for our shared natural world heritage as we move forward into the next 50 years. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Many thanks for your informative presentations. And now would like to know whether there are any comments on the entire document 45.com-7 on the general state of conservation issues. دولة قطر.
شكرا السيد الرئيس. أود في البداية أن أشكر السكرتارية على هذا التقديم الوافي لأهم المسائل التي نقوم بها بالشراكة مع منظمة اليونسكو منذ عام 2014 أثناء اجتماعات لجنة التراث 38 في الدوحة. يقوم صندوق قطر للتنمية بالعديد من الشراكات، منها تأسيس صندوق الطوارئ لمنظمة اليونسكو، وتم بموجب هذه الاتفاقية بالتزام دولة قطر ب10 مليون دولار لتأسيس هذا الصندوق مع منظمة اليونسكو مشكورة. وكما نود أن نشكر سكرتارية منظمة اليونسكو وقطاع الثقافة بهذه الجهود. وأعلنا بتقرير التي تم إعلان عنه عن طريق مجلس الأمناء صندوق الطوارئ في عام 22 بأن هناك 31 عملية تدخل سريعة في العديد من مناطق النزاع في العالم، وهناك 23 مستفيد كمواقع. وكما أن في عام 22 كذلك استفادت 84 دولة في عام 22، منها 24 دولة في القارة الأفريقية. Mr. Chair, Qatar Development Fund has contributed in 2023 by $500 for safeguarding culture in emergency situation. This fund have been used for activities related to conflicts in the region, in the world, in Arabic world, in Yemen and Iraq, Syria, and earthquakes in Ecuador, Myanmar, Nepal, and Iran, and of course Haiti, and in Lebanon after Beirut port explosion under the initiative Beirut. I would confirm you, Mr. Chair, Qatar continue to support all activities and efforts of UNESCO to safeguard the cultural priority in the world. Thanks, Mr. Chair.
شكرا جزيلا. I would like to see if there are any comments from the committee members. I see Mexico.
Gracias, señor presidente. El concepto de conservación y gestión urbana y patrimonial está en permanente evolución, como lo conocen y lo saben todos los miembros de este comité, e involucra en nuestros días temas fundamentales como sostenibilidad, lo hemos visto en el informe que nos han entregado, calidad de vida, identidades, los procesos medioambientales, la biodiversidad, la justicia social, la movilidad y la migración, la innovación tecnológica, el desarrollo económico, la creatividad y la permanencia culturales. Para la implementación, y nosotros nuevamente retomamos este tema de las recomendaciones, la aplicación de una metodología de análisis paisajístico permite orientar decisiones futuras en torno a los 4 objetivos de calidad paisajística fundamentales propuestos hace unos años por el Centro del Patrimonio Mundial junto con el Instituto Andaluz del Patrimonio Histórico. La regeneración del medio ambiente urbano y periurbano, la adecuación de las infraestructuras territoriales, el fomentar las actividades socioeconómicas sustentables, calificar la integración del patrimonio cultural en el paisaje contemporáneo. Durante los trabajos de la Conferencia Mundial de la UNESCO sobre las políticas culturales y el desarrollo sostenible, se reconoció la evolución del espectro normativo de la UNESCO que con sus declaraciones, recomendaciones y convenciones internacionales han ampliado el alcance de la cultura y proporcionado un marco global para garantizar justamente la protección y la promoción de la cultura en todas sus dimensiones. Y entre los documentos que se mencionaron se encuentra justamente la recomendación sobre el paisaje urbano histórico. Desde el Instituto Nacional de Antropología Histórica, México, en colaboración con los gestores de las 10 ciudades mexicanas del Patrimonio Mundial, hemos trabajado en la implementación de dicha recomendación y su articulación con otras convenciones culturales de la UNESCO, de mano del Programa de las Ciudades Históricas del Centro del Patrimonio Mundial. Concluyo comentándoles a todos los miembros del comité la propuesta, la enmienda que nosotros hemos presentado a fin de incorporar las herramientas y conceptos de la recomendación tanto en procesos de nuevas nominaciones a la lista como en los planes integrados de gestión y conservación, con las herramientas del Atlas del Patrimonio y la guía estupendamente trabajada por los órganos consultivos, son los temas que debemos fortalecer. Concluyo. Entre los paradigmas de la conservación monumental y natural y las políticas eficaces de gestión urbana, la sostenibilidad de las ciudades y del medio ambiente supone uno de los recursos humanos más valiosos frente al futuro de la humanidad. Gracias y disculpen que amplíe el tiempo.
Thank you very much. Japan?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I would like to get your guidance on this particular point because we have submitted amendments to the decision 7.1. And I understand that you, well, for the sake of accurate understanding, are we going to debate the decisions after the general debate now, or are you going to do it later? Because I want to explain why we submit those amendments. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I've mentioned that it will be examined on the 24th of September.
Okay. May I, Mr. Chair?
Yeah.
In that case, shall I explain the general background for these amendments now, or do we have to do it when the decisions are discussed?
Russian Federation.
Спасибо
Point of order.
Да, спасибо большое, господин председатель. Спасибо большое господину главе делегации Японии за его вопрос. У нас в этом случае возникло предложение, поскольку проекты решений, как мы понимаем, будут обсуждаться после обсуждения всех отчетов о состоянии сохранности, может быть, и общие дебаты по этому пункту нам перенести на это время. А сейчас перейти к рассмотрению отдельных отчетов о состоянии сохранности объектов. Спасибо большое.
Yes, Your Excellency. So since everyone is in agreement, then we have to open the discussion on the 24th. Your Excellency of Japan. So,
well, to be honest, I was leaving before 24th, but I have to reconsider my schedule. Thank you.
it's good to have you. So are there any committee members who would like to address their questions? Then so our understanding now, the discussion will be open the 24th of September. So if there's any objection, so we can address it now. Then there should be no objection, and there's no intervention or questions about this certain item from the committee members. Then we should. Sultan Oman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I would like to inquire and ask, what is the rationale from postponing it to 24th of September? It's only for information. Thank you.
Your Excellency, I will give the floor to the Secretariat to elaborate more on this.
Thank you, Chairperson. Just to, on this particular issue, what the committee has always been doing is, of course, that you open the item following the presentation by the Secretariat and the advisory bodies. You can have general debate and discussion. Knowing that this item remains open until the examination of all the state of conservation report. And that's the reason why the chairperson has informed you that the two draft decisions, not the debate, but the two draft decisions will be examined on 24 September. So usually the committee can decide to have the debate now, and then after the debate, as you usually do, is that you start examining the draft decision, and you can then decide to explain the reasoning behind your different amendments that you have proposed on 24. But it doesn't stop you from having a debate if you wish to have a debate on the different important subjects that have been addressed in the working document that you have before you. So it's up to you to tell us if you wish to postpone the debate on 24 September also. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Director. Mexico.
Gracias, señor presidente. Sí queremos nosotros precisar que la intención de nuestra intervención fue justamente el debate, no la toma de la decisión de los dos proyectos de decisión, sino abrir ese diálogo, ese debate, dado que es un documento realmente importante el que presenta el Centro del Patrimonio Mundial en torno a las problemáticas de lo que es esta convención, justamente, la conservación. Gracias.
So as have been mentioned, it's your call to open the debate or move forward with the examination. So if there's no objection, we will proceed. So now since there is no objection or comment from the committee members, we will take the floor from the observers. Switzerland requested the floor.
Monsieur le Président, je vous remercie de nous donner la parole. En effet, nous sommes heureux de pouvoir contribuer en tant que non-membres à ce débat général sur ce point extrêmement important. Comme vous l'avez très bien dit au début, Monsieur le Président, avec la discussion des états de conservation des biens, nous arrivons au cœur même de la Convention du patrimoine mondial. En général, ce sont les inscriptions de biens sur la liste du patrimoine mondial qui suscitent le plus d'intérêt. Les inscriptions ne sont toutefois que le début de l'engagement des États parties de tout mettre en œuvre pour conserver la valeur universelle exceptionnelle des biens. Cet engagement est pris pour la durée. Ce n'est pas toujours simple et cela demande des efforts parfois importants et des décisions qui sont difficiles à prendre. Oui, quelquefois, il faut aussi renoncer à des projets ou limiter d'autres intérêts afin de transmettre le patrimoine aux générations futures. Les rapports sur l'état de conservation des biens sont ainsi le résultat d'un grand travail d'analyse scientifique et de coopération. Les États attendent du comité des indications claires et efficaces pour le suivi de leurs biens. C'est pour cela qu'il ne faut pas inutilement affaiblir les projets de décision. Pour ce qui est de la liste des biens en péril, cette année, nous pouvons célébrer le retrait des tombes des rois du Buganda à Kasubi en Ouganda de cette liste. Ceci est un grand succès qui prouve la validité et l'utilité du système. Nous sommes conscients que peu de pays souhaitent voir des biens figurer sur cette liste. Mais nous devons arrêter de considérer l'inscription sur la liste en péril comme une punition. C'est au contraire un outil puissant que nous avons pour alerter les sociétés sur les dangers auxquels est confronté le patrimoine mondial, que ce soit à cause de l'activité humaine ou du changement climatique qui en résulte. La Suisse appelle par conséquent le comité à donner suite aux inscriptions pour la liste en péril proposée. Je vous remercie.
Shukran, Sayyidi Rais. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, I have 2 points. First of all, usually in this item, when we have the general debates, so member states of the committee, they can also discuss the rationale for their amendments. We don't need to have to look at or listen to the discussion of the draft resolution, but we need to listen to their rationale where they submit the amendments. So usually this is the general debates was important to have it now. My second point, Mr. Chair, like you know, on the 24th, most likely a lot of member states will be left. So I think it will be more practical and efficient. Once you finish 7B, so still the information is still fresh, without specifying the dates, then you go back to this item once you're done from 7A, 7B. You don't need to wait until the end of the convention. So at least you will have majority of the committee members and the observers, which is it's important for us to see what's the debate and what the final decision. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
شكرا جزيلا. العراق.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. السيد الرئيس، أصحاب السعادة السيدات والسادة، بداية نتقدم بخالص الشكر والتقدير للأشقاء في المملكة العربية السعودية لاستضافة هذه الدورة وحسن التنظيم، داعين الله أن يمن على المملكة بالمزيد من التقدم والازدهار. لا بد لنا أن نستثمر هذه المناسبة أيضا لتجديد التعازي إلى الأشقاء في المغرب بحادث الزلزال الأليم، والأشقاء في ليبيا في حادث السيول والفيضانات. السيد الرئيس، نود أن نشكر الجهود المبذولة من قبل مركز التراث العالمي حول إعداد هذا التقرير الموسع، ونبين بأن العراق يمتلك 6 مواقع أثرية مدرجة على رائحة التراث العالمي، وهي الحضر وآشور والسامراء والأهوار، والملف المشترك الذي يتضمن 3 مدن أثرية هي أور وأريدو والوركاء، إضافة إلى قلعتي أربيل وبابل، و3 من هذه المدن قد أدرجت على لائحة التراث العالمي للمواقع الأثرية المعرضة للخطر. أدرجت آشور وبعدها سامراء على لائحة الخطر بعد قبول الملفات الخاصة بها مباشرة، كما أدرجت الحضر وأيضا على لائحة الخطر في عام 2015، وذلك بسبب الأعمال الهمجية والأضرار التي سببتها عصابات داعش الإرهابية، والتي نعمل على رفعها من لائحة الخطر بعد تنفيذ الالتزامات المطلوبة منا، وبالتعاون مع الإيكوموس وإعداد خطط الإدارة الخاصة بتلك المواقع. لقد عمل العراق خلال السنتين الماضيتين بشكل مكثف مع منظمة اليونسكو لتنفيذ النقاط المحددة في توصيات الإيكوموس، ونجحنا في استضافة وتسهيل عمل بعثة المتابعة الاستجابية التي زارت مدن الحضر وآشور وسامراء، واطلعت على وضع ممتلكات التراث العالمي من على الأرض، وأنجزنا بيان القيمة العالمية الاستثنائية بأثر رجعي لكل من مدن الحضر وآشور عبر ورشة عمل أجريت بالتعاون مع منظمة اليونسكو لهذا الغرض. فيما يخص ملف الأهوار، تم تحديد استراتيجية موارد المياه والأراضي في العراق، والتي تحدد إدارة الموارد المائية بما في ذلك المياه المخصصة للمكونات الطبيعية الأهوار لضمان القيمة العالمية الاستثنائية، والتي تشمل دراسة بيئية هيدرولوجية شاملة للأهوار تعالج الحد الأدنى لمتطلبات تدفق المياه وإدارة الجفاف والتغيير المناخي. وتم تنفيذ بناء القدرات والتدريب وإجراء المسوحات مع المركز العالمي للتراث العالمي لتحديث البيانات وتحديد الحد الأدنى من المياه اللازمة لضمان الحفاظ على القيمة العالمية الاستثنائية والنظام الأيكولوجي. نؤكد هنا عن قلقنا من مشاريع السدود والري في دول المنبع، والتي تؤثر سلباً على الأمن المائي والغذائي في العراق بما في ذلك بيئة الأهوار، ونستغل هذا التجمع لندعو دول المنبع للتعاون الفني المشترك للمياه العابرة للحدود.
المقاطعة عذراً، قد استنفذت الوقت.
شكراً جزيلاً سيد الرئيس.
شكراً لك. Japan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was somewhat inspired by what the distinguished ambassador of Kuwait mentioned. That was exactly what I was expecting. Now, if you have no problem, I would like to suggest that after 7A, 7B discussions, we can come back to this. Before concluding the state of conservation discussions. I don't mind if you want to keep it open until the 24th, but I think it's probably better to have the discussions on the DR, if it's not now, after the 7A, 7B discussions. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Indeed, Your Excellency. Thank you. Greece.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Greece also supports the proposal of the esteemed ambassador of Japan, either to proceed with a general debate today or the latest next Saturday. Thank you.
South Africa.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We also would like to support the proposal by Japan as supported by Greece. Thank you very much.
Oman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. It is the same. I'm supporting the Japan's and Greece suggestion based on Kuwait suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you. Argentina.
Gracias, señor presidente. Acompañamos la propuesta del embajador de Japón.
St. Vincent and Grenadines.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. We support the proposal of Japan initiated by Kuwait. Thank you.
Belgium.
Likewise, Mr. Chair, we support this proposal and would like to have some clarity because we were a bit confused since some observers already took the floor and the debate seemed to have started, but yet it hasn't. So we think it's a good suggestion from the Japanese ambassador. Thank you.
Thank you. Ethiopia.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Je m'associe avec la déclaration qui a été faite par l'ambassadeur du Japon et les autres pays également. Merci.
Thank you. Italy.
Italy supports Japan too. Thank you.
Thank you. Qatar.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Qatar soutient la proposition du Japon et proposée aussi par Koweït. Shukran.
Thank you. Bulgaria.
Bulgaria also supports the proposal by Japan. Thank you.
Thank you very much. المملكة العربية السعودية.
ندعم مقترح اليابان. شكرا.
Thank you. Egypt.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Egypt also joins appearing consensus on this proposal. Thank you.
Thank you. It seems there is a consensus. Qatar. Russian Federation.
Спасибо большое, господин председатель. Мы бы хотели уточнить один момент. Когда мы предлагали перенести общие дебаты, мы просто подумали, что ряд делегаций представили поправки в решение. И раз решение мы будем принимать 24 числа, то было бы логично выслушать объяснение этих поправок непосредственно перед принятием этого решения. Мы не возражали против того, чтобы состоялись общие дебаты. Сейчас появилось другое предложение – перенести общие дебаты на ближайшее время, субботу, если мы правильно поняли, после того, как закончится обсуждение отчетов о состоянии сохранности. Значит ли это, что тогда график обсуждения номинаций будет нарушен? И делегации, которые приехали обсуждать свои номинации, не смогут участвовать в этом обсуждении. Если это так, возможно, это не самый лучший выход. И просто тогда было бы правильно, наверное, провести дебаты, но поправки и основания для этих поправок обсудить 24 сентября. Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much. So in terms of postponing the discussion debate on the Saturday, the timetable will be the same, to clarify this. So since there's a consensus and agreement to postpone the debate after closing item 7A and 7B, that will be on Saturday. And also we can have more discussion on this tomorrow morning at the Bureau. Is that good with everyone? All right, so let's proceed. And before we start with the examination of the individual state of conservation report, I would like to give the floor to Mr. Lazar Londo Asomo, Director of the World Heritage Center, to introduce this item. Mr. Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. On this item 7A, as indicated by the Chairperson, according to paragraph 190 of the operational guidelines, the committee shall review annually the state of conservation of properties on the list of World Heritage in danger. And document 7A, 7A add, 7A.add 2, 7A.add 3, and 7A.add 4 present detailed report on the state of conservation of properties inscribed on the list of World Heritage in danger. Please note that for the 3 properties that have been inscribed during the last 18th extraordinary session of the World Heritage Committee in January 2023, both on the World Heritage list and the list of World Heritage in danger, no reporting was required on these properties at this session of the World Heritage Committee, but only at the 46th session. These 3 properties are Rashid Karami International Fair, Tripoli, Lebanon, landmark of ancient kingdom of Saba, Marib, Yemen, and the historic center of Odessa, Ukraine. In addition to the individual reports, there are 3 general decisions. One on World Heritage properties in Iraq, one on World Heritage properties in the Syrian Arab Republic, one on the World Heritage properties in the Democratic Republic of Congo, DRC. In line with our rotation practice, this year we will start the presentation of the reports with natural properties in the following order of regions: Latin America and the Caribbean, Africa, Arab states, Asia Pacific, and Europe and North America. The presentations will be made jointly by the Secretariat and the advisory bodies. After the examination of natural properties, we will proceed with the examination of cultural properties in the same regional order. There are no mixed properties on the list of World Heritage in danger. And once we reach the relevant agenda items, and before the floor is given to the Secretariat and the advisory bodies, it is the practice, Mr. Chairperson, distinguished members of the committee, that the committee member who has requested a specific state of conservation report to be open for discussion be asked briefly to present the reason why it felt important to discuss this report in order to keep the debate focused on this issue specifically. I also would like to remind the distinguished committee members that for all the state of conservation reports not open for discussion, as it is the practice, the list of these properties will only be read out by the Secretariat, after which you may, Mr. Chairperson, then declare, if there is no objection from the committee member, the relevant decisions all adopted. And before concluding, I would also like to recall some of the committee's rules of procedure, which you may want to apply on this agenda item to facilitate the conduct of the debate. Let me remind you Rule 22.5. The chairperson shall put committee members' question to a state party once at the end of the committee's debate on the property. Rule 22.6. State parties shall not speak to World Heritage properties in their own territories except at the explicit invitation of the chairperson within the allowed time for their speech and in response to specific questions posed. Lastly, Mr. Chairperson, I would like to remind the distinguished committee members about the very important decision 35-12E, which the committee adopted at its 35th session in 2011, requesting state parties to refrain from providing additional information regarding conservation issues after the deadlines indicated in the operational guidelines, as this information cannot be given the necessary attention for review by the Secretariat and the advisory bodies at such short notice. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much, Director. So now I would like to also invite you again to read the list of the natural properties of the Latin America and the Caribbean region inscribed in the list of World Heritage Endangered, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You may please, Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I will now read the list of natural properties of the Latin America and the Caribbean region. Rio Platano Biosphere Reserve, Honduras. Island and protected areas of the Gulf of California, Mexico. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you, Director. So, if there is no objection from the committee on this state of conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. Also, I would like to ask whether any observer delegation would like to express themselves about the property of which we have adopted the decision without discussion. So we have a request from the Center for Biological Diversity. You may please take the floor.
Thank you. Mr. Chair and distinguished delegates, this intervention is made on behalf of the Center for Biological Diversity and the Animal Welfare Institute. We thank the committee for supporting the draft decision 7.8.2 to retain the islands and protected areas of the Gulf of California on the list of World Heritage Endangered, and for directing Mexico to urgently implement the corrective measures for this site. The vaquita, the world's most endangered marine mammal, is an outstanding universal value for the site and is only found in the upper Gulf of California in Mexico. Vaquita numbers have fallen from nearly 600 animals in 1997 to around 10 today, due to entanglement in gill nets used to catch shrimp and fish, including the totoaba fish. The decision notes that Mexico's September 2020 regulations adopted to regulate fishing in the vaquita habitat could, if enforced, have the potential to reduce totoaba poaching and vaquita bycatch, but also notes concerns that the state party has not fully implemented the regulation and has failed to enforce them. This situation has not changed. As May of this year, the Scientific Committee of the International Whaling Commission noted that the vaquita will come extinct in the near future unless the risk of entanglement in gill nets is entirely eliminated. If this doesn't happen now, it will be too late. During the recent vaquita survey performed in May, vaquita were observed outside the protection area called Zero Tolerance Area. While incidents of illegal fishing in this zone have declined, fishing outside of it, which is also illegal, has been rampant. Considering the ongoing threat to the vaquita from entanglement in illegal fishing gear, it is imperative that the committee adopt the strongest and most comprehensive corrective measures possible for this World Heritage Site. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So now we will move to Nature Africa region. And now I would like to give the floor to the delegation of South Africa to present to the committee the reasons it requested to open the state of conservation of the Lake Turkana National Park in Kenya.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. South Africa has noted the report presented by the advisory body on Lake Turkana National Park World Heritage Property, highlighting the issues and challenges that have led to the inclusion of the property in the list of World Heritage in danger. These threats were inter alia potential irreversible loss of the property's outstanding universal value, resulting from foreseen impacts from developments upstream the Omo River, leading to receding water levels and imbalances in nutrient flow into Lake Turkana. It is encouraging that we are informed of a turnaround of the situation. There is now documented evidence that Lake Turkana, like the other Great Rift Valley lakes, has experienced rising water levels in the last 4 years. This new evidence, supported by enhanced efforts towards restoration of the property to the desired state of conservation, gives us confidence that the reasons why the property was initially inscribed on the list of World Heritage in danger have not manifested as bad as we thought and can now be addressed more concisely. Mr. Chair, the State Party of Kenya has considered the formulation and implementation of the Lake Turkana National Parks Management Plan. This will be supported by resourcing and implementing the desired state of conservation strategy that has been developed. Mr. Chair, these are important milestones towards removing the property from the list of the World Heritage in danger. The delegation of South Africa further appreciates the government of Norway for committing to support the formulation of the desired state of conservation report for the property. While we recognize that there's still more work to be done, the State Party of South Africa appreciates the efforts undertaken and requests the committee members to consider the proposed amendments. I thank you.
Thank you very much. So now I would like to invite the Secretariat and IUCN to provide their comments. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. On the point raised by the distinguished delegation of South Africa, I want to just point out that, of course, the rainfall in the last couple of years has been exceptional and has resulted in a lot more water in all the lakes in the region, including also the lakes of the Rift Valley, which we will also discuss later in item 7b. However, I think there is still questions on how the upstream dam projects and other irrigation projects might have impacted the hydrology of the lake. And I think we will have to look, see how the situation evolves if the rainfall levels return back to the normal situation. In terms of the amendment that is proposed, I just want to explain one point. In the report that the State Party had submitted to the World Heritage Center, it had mentioned that through the Interministerial Committee on the Omo River Lake Turkana Basin and its development, it had developed a strategy for the implementation and to address the challenges affecting the management of the property, including the decline of wildlife species and populations. We understand that the proposal is to remove, so we had requested in the draft decision that the State Party submits a copy of this strategy, and we see that this has been deleted in the revised draft decision. So we would be, of course, interested to know what is the status of this strategy if this is to be deleted. I just have one small comment, is that in the formulation of the revised paragraph, there is talk of implementation of the interministerial committee. I suppose that has to be that there is a typo there and that it has to be the implementation of the work of the interministerial committee. Ayusin has no further comments on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'd like to see if there are any comments. Japan, you may have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Japan would like to seek clarification on 3 points. First, regarding the paragraph 7 of the draft decision, we would like to ask World Heritage Center or advisory body about the intention of the original draft. The original draft sentence, well, I think you mentioned a little bit about it, but the original sentence is a little complicated and not easy to understand, especially the relationship with the interministerial committee. So we'd like to have the confirmation that the original draft decision is requesting state party to submit 2 things, namely details of state of conservation matters and the strategy mentioned in the state party's report. Also, we'd like to know whether the amendment sentence is correct in terms of the relationship with the interministerial committee, because it seems to us amendment sentence is clearer than the original sentence. The second point is to the proposer of the amendment. If our understanding is correct, in the paragraph 7, the committee is requesting to submit a copy of the existing strategy, and would like to know the reason why this part is deleted. The third question is regarding the paragraph 8 of the draft decision, and the question is to, again, World Heritage Center or advisory body. We would like to know if the SEA mentioned in paragraph 8 is the same SEA as mentioned in the paragraph 6C of the draft decision of the Lamu Old Town 45.7b.126. If that is the case, because the draft decision on the Lamu Old Town mentions the importance of also on the Lake Turkana National Park, I'm sorry, it mentions the impacts also on the Lake Turkana National Park. So it would be better to keep mentioning the Lamu Old Town here from the consistency point of view. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Are there any comments or interventions? So now I would like to ask the Secretariat to respond to your question.
Thank you, Chair. I believe the distinguished delegate of Japan asked 3 different questions. The first question was on what is exactly requested in the original paragraph 7. And I just want to confirm there that we had requested indeed information on the progress and time, information on the strategy, so the strategy which was mentioned in the State Party report, and also information on the progress and timeline of the activities included in that strategy. In terms of the second question, I think this is a question to be asked to the distinguished delegation of South Africa, as they proposed in their amendment to delete reference to the strategy. In terms of the third question, which seeks clarification if the strategic environmental assessment, which is referred to in paragraph 5, is the same as the strategic environmental assessment referred to in paragraph 8. I can say that these are not the same. In fact, in paragraph 5, we are talking about a strategic environmental assessment that the committee has requested in most of the past decisions, and since the site was inscribed in the list of World Heritage in danger, to review the cumulative impacts of the developments on the different developments on the Omo-Turkana basin, so basically the developments on the Omo River and other rivers in the Turkana basin, and to assess the impacts, the cumulative impacts on the property. The SCA mentioned in paragraph 8 is an SCA, an existing SCA, which is linked to the Lamu port development, but includes also reference to several activities or several developments which are close to Lake Turkana, including a pipeline and several tourism developments. So these are two different points. I think ICOMOS wants to respond on the link to the cultural property Lamu Old Town. No? No. Not.
Thank you very much. I would like to give the floor to South Africa to respond to the second question.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I think we just wanted to clarify that we do acknowledge that there is more work that needs to be done. Secondly, is to indicate that paragraph 7 is just a rephrasing. It's not that we are amending anything necessarily on it. So those are just the 2 points that we want to bring forward. We would like the committee to just acknowledge and appreciate the degree of progress that the government of Kenya has achieved to date in trying to resolve all the issues. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Japan, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. Sorry for taking the floor again. I think I was not so clear enough about my question 3 regarding the SEA. My question was, if this SEA in paragraph 8 is the same as the one mentioned in the draft decision of cultural site, if that is the same SEA, then the expression should be the same. That was my point. I hope you understand. And also, I thank you the reply from the South Africa. And so I understand there are still some little work remains to be done for that strategy. I hope that my understanding is correct. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Secretariat.
So it is indeed the same SCA as the SCA for the Lamu Old Town, because that SCA also covers other developments, including developments which are close to Lake Turkana. That's why there is reference here. And yes, for sake of clarity, it might be good but I think it's also already in the first sentence, because it also says the revision of the SCA for the Lamu Port, Southern Sudan, Ethiopia Transport Corridor Program, because it's basically an SCA for the entire development corridor, which goes from Sudan up to the port of Lamu, and of course the port of Lamu, which is discussed in the State of Conservation report on the Lamu Old Town, is a very important part of that corridor, but there are also several developments close to Lake Turkana. That is why it is also referred to here. I hope that clarifies, but perhaps Mike. Okay.
Thank you. I see there are no other questions, so I think we will close debate and move to the examine the draft decision. So before that, I would like to invite you to adopt the draft decision 45Com 7A point 10 concerning this property. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of South Africa. The amendment is on screen. It is for para 5, 7, and 8. In para 5, there is a slight correction in the last line, as you can see. And thanks Norway for committing to financially support the process to develop the DSOCR for the property. Para 7 has been rephrased, and it reads as, requests the state party of Kenya to submit to the World Heritage Center for review by IUCN details regarding the progress in implementation of the Interministerial Committee on Omo River Lake Turkana Basin of the various state of conservation matters pertaining to the property, highlighting the challenges facing the implementation of the developed strategy. And para 8 is revised to say, regrets that no update on the revision of the SEA for the Lamu Port Southern Sudan Ethiopia Transport LAPSSET corridor program is provided, and therefore reiterates its request to the state party to complete as soon as possible the revised SEA, taking into account both individual and cumulative impacts that the program and its projects may have on the OUV of the property, and that no further components of LAPSSET LAPSET be implemented until the SEA is completed and submitted to the World Heritage Center for review by the advisory bodies. The rest of the paras remain as they are. Thank you.
So let's proceed with adoption of the draft decision. We can scroll up. I think we have from paragraph 1, and if you allow me, dear colleagues, and we will, since there is no amendment on paragraph 1 and 2 and 3, and paragraph 4. Since there is no amendment, can we accept them? We adopt them as it? No objection. Adopted. Paragraph 5. We have an amendment. And do we agree with the proposed amendment? Then we adopt as amended. Paragraph 6. There is no amendment, and if you agree, we adopt as it is. Adopt. And then paragraph 7, there is an amendment to the paragraph. Do you agree with the proposed amendment? I see no objection. Adopted as amended. Paragraph 8, there is an amendment. Do you agree with the proposed amendment? I see no objection, and adopted as amended. Paragraph 9, there is no amendment. Do you agree to adopt it as it is? Adopted. Paragraph 10, and 11, there is no amendment. Do you agree to accept it as it is? Then adopted. So, dear colleagues, we have to adopt the draft decision 45.7a.10 as a whole. Is there any objection? I see no objection. Draft decision 45.7a.10 is adopted as amended. Now moving to nature sites in Africa region, that's not for discussion. I now invite Mr. Londo Asomo to read the list of the natural properties inscribed in the World Heritage in Danger located in the African region for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The following sites are proposed for adoption without discussion. Manovogunda, St. Floris National Park, Central African Republic. Mount Nimba Strict Nature Reserve, Côte d'Ivoire and Guinea. Garamba National Park, Democratic Republic of the Congo. Kahuzi-Biega National Park, Democratic Republic of the Congo. Okapi Wildlife Reserve, Democratic Republic of the Congo. Virunga National Park, Democratic Republic of the Congo. General decision on the World Heritage properties in the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Rainforest of the Atinanana, Madagascar. Aïr and Ténéré Natural Reserves, Niger. Nyokolo-Koba National Park, Senegal. Selous Game Reserve, United Republic of Tanzania. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on the state of conservation reports, I declare the decisions read out adopted. I would like now to ask whether any observer delegation would like to express themselves about one of the properties of which we have adopted without discussion. We have a request from the floor, the Indigenous Forum.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The International Indigenous Peoples Forum has been asked to read a declaration on behalf of the Batwa peoples. Declaration of the Batwa of the Kahuzi-Biega National Park in the Democratic Republic of Congo at the meeting of the UNESCO World Heritage Committee. We, the Batwa Indigenous peoples of the Kahuzi-Biega National Park, a UNESCO World Heritage Site since 1980, whose parents were expelled between 1970 and 1975. We express ourselves through this declaration. Since our expulsion, for decades we have lived around the park without land, without means of subsistence, without access to the natural resources inside the park, and without being able to exercise our cultural practices. Taking into account the various national texts adopted and international human rights treaties ratified by the Democratic Republic of Congo, we urge the UNESCO World Heritage Committee to ask the Congolese government to redress the historical and current injustices of the Batwa continue to suffer as a result of the evictions, return to the Batwa the customary land seized a long time ago, and respect and swiftly implement the recent decision of the African Commission of Human and People's Rights on issues of human rights abuses committed against us, decision on Communication 588/15, adopted in May 2022, which calls on the Congolese government to reinstitute our ancestral lands. From the Batwa of Kahuzi Baiga. Shukran.
Shukran jazilan. So I see no other requests, and now we move to the Asia Pacific region, and we have a discussion proposed by Thailand for the property tropical rainforest heritage of Sumatra in Indonesia. I now would like to give the floor to the delegation of Thailand to present to the committee the reasons it requested to open the state of conservation of the tropical rainforest heritage of Sumatra in Indonesia. You may have the floor, Thailand.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Dear committee members, Thailand wishes to refer to the draft decision 45-COM78.15 regarding the tropical rainforest heritage of Sumatra. My delegation has studied the desired state of conservation report submitted by the State Party of Indonesia and has taken note with appreciation the commitment of the State Party on the conservation of the heritage site. We note that considerable efforts have been made through various measures to achieving positive results, especially in maintaining forest cover with no significant loss since year 2011, improving the management of the protected area, conducting regular and consistent population monitoring of key species, which shows a relatively stable population trend, and enacting policies to ensure the preservation of the outstanding universal values of the heritage site. However, Thailand is of the view that the working document and the draft decision do not reflect the reality on the ground. The negative nuance of the draft decision also does not take into account the genuine efforts and progress made by the State Party. In this regard, Thailand would like to propose amendments on a few points. They are not substantive changes to the draft decision and do not depart from the original draft. We hope that the committee members could lend their support to the draft amendment. Mr. Chairperson, my delegation would also like to request the State Party of Indonesia, upon the permission of the Chairperson, to make necessary clarifications if needed. I thank you, Mr. Chairperson.
Thank you very much. So now I would like to invite the Secretariat and IUCN to provide us with their comments. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. We would like to recall that this property is faced with three important challenges: deforestation and encroachment. The second challenge, pressure on the wildlife populations, including elephants, tigers, and rhino. And as third one, various road development projects which could affect its integrity. While the World Heritage Center and IUCN acknowledge that the State Party has made some efforts to start addressing these issues, we still are concerned that in spite of these efforts, the OUV of the site is still further deteriorating. In terms of deforestation, we acknowledge that the rate of deforestation has slowed down. Nevertheless, during the period from 2000 to 2020, close to 30,000 hectares of forest were lost in this property, and some deforestation is still continuing today. For this reason, the World Heritage Center and IUCN consider that any further loss of the forest is of utmost concern, given the amount of forest already lost. In terms of wildlife populations, the data provided by the State Party on Sumatran elephant, tiger, rhino, and orangutan show a degree of uncertainty that requires continuous monitoring of a declining population. And IUCN will provide some more information on this. In terms of road developments, several road development projects are still being considered, while the corrective measures adopted by the committee requested the State Party not to further consider any new road developments. While we acknowledge that no final decision has been made on these projects, the fact that they are still being considered is a concern in its own right. IUCN will also make some comments on this property. Thank you.
Thank you. IUCN, you may take the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. IUCN also takes note of the meeting held between the State Party, the World Heritage Center, and IUCN on the 6th of September recently, and the World Heritage Center and IUCN welcome the opportunity for this type of dialogue between all parties in the lead up to the committee session. We would like to further complement the comments provided by the World Heritage Centre in response to the points that have just been raised. Specifically, firstly to note, as is noted in the opening paragraph of both the SOC report and around the decision, we do acknowledge that the State Party has provided positive updates in response to decision of the last committee session, and specifically concerning the DSOCR indicators and meeting the corrective measures. As was just noted by the World Heritage Centre, one of the key issues really refers to the ongoing loss of forest, and then specifically to comment also on the species data which has been raised, just to make a point that this is information that we have taken from the last State Party report provided in March 2023, which indicates either declining trends or still provides a level of unclarity that requires further monitoring. Notably, specifically around tiger and elephant populations, population for tigers across the properties components are reported to be relatively stable. However, monitoring survey results do show a high degree of statistical uncertainty. So there are various points that do remain of concern, and in conclusion, we note that whilst the State Party is achieving significant steps in certain areas on implementing the corrective measures, there does remain a need to further strengthen progress in this regard, and we remain available to provide any technical support in this regard. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I would like to open the floor. Sultan Oman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, and thanks to the advisory body for the clarification. And Oman, from the report, has noted the great efforts made by the State Party to ensure the utmost conservation of the property's outstanding universal values, OUV. The State Party has set substantial endeavor encompassing the implementation proactive measures, such as strengthened effort to remove all anchors from property, and coupled with comprehensive forest management initiatives to foresell enrichment. Furthermore, we welcome the State Party's reaffirmation from granting any concession or permits associated with the construction or development of new road within the Young Leisure National Park, which considered an important achievement for the conservation of the UAV of the property. We believe that more time and dialogue between the State Party and the advisory bodies will lead to drive properly all the efforts and intervention in a way that will not impact negatively the OUV and its attributes. Therefore, we support the amendment to the draft decision, and we thank Thailand for opening this amendment. Thank you.
شكرا جزيلا. دولة قطر.
شكرا السيد الرئيس. أود أن نثمن ما تقدم به اللجان الاستشارية من ملاحظات ومن توصيات، كما تثمن دولة قطر كأحد الدول الأعضاء في لجنة التراث العالمي على كل الجهود التي قامت بها حكومة الدولة المعنية في هذا الملف، ومن التزامات وتنفيذ العديد من التزاماتها التي تمت باحترام كل اللوائح والتعليمات التي صدرت في التقارير الفنية. لذلك دولة قطر تؤيد ما قدمته مملكة تايلاند في هذا القرار، وشكرا.
شكرا جزيلا. Japan.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Well, I think we are generally in agreement with what has been said so far, but to make things very clear, if you allow, Mr. Chair, I would like to ask 2 questions to the State Party of Indonesia. First of all, our understanding is that Indonesia has taken a number of measures to deal with the issue. And that would include, for example, the prevention of encroachment, monitoring of rainforest, and also the commitment to suspend the issuance of the new new permissions for construction of the roads concerned. So those are the efforts that the State Party of Indonesia has been making. So we would like to ask the State Party of Indonesia if this understanding is correct. And secondly, in terms of the actions, the State Party of Indonesia has been asked to take, I understand that they agree with the supply of further information as well as the application of reinforced monitoring mechanism to this project. So in that sense, the way forward is very clear. That is our standing, and I would also ask the question to the party of Indonesia if our standing is correct, or if our understanding is correct. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Your Excellency. We'll pass the floor to Indonesia after we go over of the intervention of the committee members. Mali?
Okay. Merci, Monsieur le Président. Monsieur le Président, chers membres du comité, bien qu'il y ait encore quelques difficultés, nous notons que l'État partie de l'Indonésie a réalisé des progrès considérables dans la conservation et la gestion des forêts tropicales de Sumatra. Il a effectué une mise en œuvre diligente d'un ensemble complet de mesures correctives, dont, entre autres, des efforts renforcés pour éliminer tous les empiètements du bien associés à des initiatives globales de gestion forestière pour prévenir de futurs empiètements, l'achèvement de l'évaluation environnementale stratégique relative au plan de développement routier à l'intérieur du bien, le développement des modules de surveillance de la faune. Nous sommes tout à fait d'avis que ces efforts méritent d'être reflétés de manière complète et précise dans le projet de décision. C'est pourquoi nous apportons notre soutien aux amendements à ce projet de décision sous examen, soumis par la Thaïlande et relatifs aux forêts tropicales du Sumatra. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. I would like to pass the floor to India.
Thank you, Excellency. India would like to join Thailand, Oman, Qatar, and other countries in supporting this amendment. We would like to also thank the evaluation body, IUCN, for their views. The State of Conservation report prepared by the State Party of Indonesia on the tropical rainforest heritage of Sumatra is found to be detailed with management strategies and proposals addressing the decisions of the committee. The progress report on the desired state of conservation for removal of the property from the danger list has been separately provided. However, we would also like the State Party of Indonesia to be given the floor to answer the 3 points raised by the expert body IUCN on deforestation and encroachment, wildlife, and the possible threats from road development. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. South Africa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairperson. Would first like to thank the State Party of Indonesia for their comprehensive state of conservation report, which was submitted to the World Heritage Center in January of 2022. The report has provided detailed information on the activities and measures implemented by the State Party to improve the state of conservation of the property in order to achieve the desired state of conservation for removal of the site from the list of World Heritage in danger. Interventions by the State Party include those aimed at addressing encroachment, increasing community involvement, and monitoring of key species populations. Mr. Chair, South Africa acknowledges the challenges of managing such a large property, including the need to improve the lives of communities while ensuring maintenance of the outstanding universal value. An example of this challenge is the issue of facilitating people mobility as reflected by the demand on the State Party of Indonesia to develop a road that will make traveling safer and faster. South Africa as such commends the State Party of Indonesia for the careful consideration of the aspiration of communities and ensuring that development does not impact negatively on the state of conservation of the site. South Africa would like to call on the committee to acknowledge the work done by the State Party as reported in the State of Conservation Report. The amendments of the proposed by the State Party of Thailand comes in a more positive language and reflects both the challenges faced by the site and the continuous efforts made by the State Party of Indonesia to improve the state of conservation of the site. South Africa therefore supports the proposed amendment made by Thailand to paragraph 3, 6, 7, and 14, as these will send a positive and encouraging message to the State Party. I thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Jumhuriyat Masr.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Allow me first to thank IUCN for its presentation and also to acknowledge the efforts undertaken by the State Party Indonesia in applying the corrective measures on this site. And would like to ask the delegation of Indonesia what concrete evidence they can provide to demonstrate the progress made in improving the condition of the tropical rainforest of Sumatra since it was designated in the endangered list in 2011. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Now, Mexico.
Gracias, señor presidente. México reconoce los esfuerzos realizados por el Estado parte para atender la problemática y minimizar el impacto sobre el BUE a través de programas y acciones de restauración, vigilancia, monitoreo de especies, participación de las comunidades locales y otros actores involucrados con la conservación y manejo del bien, entre otras acciones encaminadas a la conservación de esos atributos. México apoya las enmiendas presentadas por Tailandia. Gracias.
I see no other interventions from the committee members, so now I would like to pass the floor to the State Party, Indonesia, to respond to the questions of the committee members, specifically Japan, India, and Egypt.
Thank you, Chair. Let me answer all the questions by. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Sorry. Since this is the first time Indonesia takes the floor, so allow us to take the opportunity to address the meeting to extend our heartfelt congratulations and sincere appreciation to the distinguished host country of Saudi Arabia for the impeccable organization of the meeting and also gracious hospitality and warm welcome extended to all participating delegation. Let me begin by commending our utmost appreciation to the delegation of Thailand for its invaluable support to facilitate the discussion of the property. Dear distinguished committee members, allow me to briefly provide a rationale behind the State Party consideration of proposing the amendment to the draft decision of tropical rainforest of Sumatra. The State Party wishes for more conciliatory and encouraging tone rather than a negative one. State Party didn't ask for removal of the property from the endangered list. Substantial indicators have been achieved. While the progress may be modest, the State Party seeks for recognition, if not appreciation, for the achievement thus far. The State Party wishes to inform the committee that the current draft decision will lead the counterproductive effect. If runs the risk of demoralizing the focal point and undermining the motivation to pursue the further progress. The State sincerely wishes the committee to consider the progress made by State Party, to acknowledge its achievement, even if they may be modest. Dear State Member Committee, let me answer some questions regarding, especially from the delegation of Japan, India, and Egypt. The State Party of Indonesia has consistently demonstrated a firm commitment to achieving the desired the desired state of conservation for tropical rainforest heritage of Sumatra. Let me remind that the site itself is 2.5 million hectares of tropical rainforest that consists of 3 national parks.
Your Excellency, I would like to ask you to respond to these questions precisely.
Yes, let me introduce that's the main point that we want to emphasize is that, firstly, with regard to encroachment, the state party has strengthened its effort to remove all encroachers from the property, coupled with the comprehensive forest management initiative to the forest all future encroachments. Among them are is innovative approach to engage community involvement that has been instituted to foster comprehensive and inclusive participations. Formally classified as encroachers now in the local community have now assumed a role active partners in ecosystem restoration. Secondly, in response to the statement regarding continued decline of the species, diligent monitoring activities for the key species, namely tiger, rhinos, Sumatra elephants, and Sumatra orangutan, have been conducted within the properties. This monitoring initiative adheres to international standardized methodologies, ensuring rigorous and consistent data collection and analysis. And so far, has been getting a data that, showing the larger natalities of those 4 species. Thirdly, with regard to the forest cover, an analysis from 2011 until 2021 reveals noteworthy trends of relative stability, as already detailed in the desired state of conservation. Lastly, the state party remains committed to its promise of not granting any permit of new road development within the protected areas. Instead, this party is actively focused on mitigating the impact of existing road development. This involves intensive patrols along national road lanes and conducting studies.
Appreciate your Excellency, appreciate your time, but I mean, the allocated time for all state members to intervene is 2 minutes. So I would like to ask you any, in the further upcoming, requests, to respond precisely to the question of the committee members in order to save the time and stay on track. So now I would like to ask the IUCN to respond to the committee questions. I think there was a feedback from India.
Mr. Chair, I think the question of India was directed to the state party.
India, you would like to confirm this? Your inquiries has been met?
Thank you, Excellency. The question we had asked was in response to IUCN raising 3 points on deforestation and encroachment, wildlife and road development, but the state party has attempted to answer that question. We have no further questions for the state party. Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you. Are there any? Japan?
Well, I would like to make 2 points. No, I did ask 2 questions, and I think Indonesia was in the process of answering the first one, because this is more or less identical with what was asked by India. Now, I had a second question, which is important from a perspective. We just wanted to make sure, we just wanted to confirm our understanding that as far as the future actions are concerned, Indonesia, the state party of Indonesia is trying to take actions in line with the suggestions from the evaluation bodies. In particular, the application of reinforced monitoring mechanism, as well as supply of further information. That is a very important element in making judgments. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Your Excellency, you want to direct a question to the state party?
Yes, indeed. Thank you.
Indonesia, please, precisely.
Thank you, Chair. We are committed to all the suggestions by the committee, and also I think what has been raised by the delegation of the esteemed delegation of Japan regarding the reinforced monitoring mechanisms. We thank the advisory body for recommending the reinforced monitoring mechanisms, and we are ready to work closely with all the secretariat and advisory body to for the action toward the property. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. I would like to pass the floor to the St. Vincent and Grenadines.
St. Vincent and the Grenadines acknowledges the efforts made by Indonesia to address the threats to the tropical rainforests of Sumatra. We anticipate continued efforts in this regard and further reporting to the WHC. We therefore support amendments made at this point.
Thank you very much. Japan?
Thank you very much, and I'm sorry to take the for the third time. But on the basis of the information that we obtained from the State Party of Indonesia, I think this should be, in a way, a very constructive case. The State Party of Indonesia has made efforts, as explained, and also the State Party of Indonesia has made a commitment that they will go along with the line of actions suggested by the evaluation bodies, and therefore, on that basis, we support all the amendments. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Are there any interventions? So now I invite to adopt the draft decision 45-COM 7A.15 concerning this property. But before doing so, I'd like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received one amendment from the distinguished delegation of Thailand, which was supported by the distinguished delegations of Oman and Qatar. And now from the committee members on the floor, we have received confirmation for these amendments from the distinguished delegations of India, South Africa, Mexico, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and Japan. So we can add their name as co-authors. So the amendments proposed for 4 paras. I'm going to read them one by one and show it on screen. Para 3 reiterates its ongoing concern regarding the persistent challenges to the outstanding universal value of the property due to encroachment, the impacts of invasive species, and the prospect of road development, which have the potential to aggravate the decline of key species and the increasing ecological isolation of the property, and expresses its sincere regret that the state party continues to engage in contemplating potential development activities, including road construction, and reiterates its call to the state party to increase its efforts to implement the corrective measures in order to avoid gradual loss of OUV of the property over time. Moving to the next para with amendments. The revised para 6, acknowledging that no decision has been taken for the proposed forest clearance within the property and that a moratorium to prevent primary forest loss has been extended, notes with concern the reported continued forest loss within the property with a significantly lower rate and urges the state party to prioritize restoration activities in ecologically sensitive areas, wildlife corridors, and roadsides. The revised para 7 requests the state party to provide clarification and detailed information pertaining to the following. Points A, B, and C under this para remain as they are. And moving on to the next para with revisions, that is para 14, noting with concern the persisting threats to the property and their potential impact on its OUV, decides to apply the reinforced monitoring mechanism to the property to allow for a closer monitoring of its state of conservation. Rest of the paras stay as they are. Thank you.
Thank you. Egypt?
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I listened carefully to the clarification given by the Ambassador of Indonesia. I would like to thank him for this. And my country would like also to join the list of countries supporting the amendments on this draft resolution. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Russian Federation?
Спасибо, господин председатель. Мы также услышали разъяснения, данные представителям Индонезии, и также хотели бы поддержать поправки, предложенные Таиландом, Оманом, Катаром и группой государств, и присоединиться к ним. Просьбу включить на список поддержавших. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. Now giving the floor to Mali.
Merci, Monsieur le Président. Nous aimerions simplement que le soutien du Mali soit ajouté au nombre des soutiens exprimés. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Italy?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Italy, too, would like to join the other countries in supporting this amendment.
Thank you very much. Now I have Nigeria.
Thank you very much, Chair. Nigeria is also joining others in supporting this amendment. Thank you.
Thank you so much. المملكة العربية السعودية.
نود أن ننضم للدول الأخرى في دعم هذا التعديل.
شكرا جزيلا. Argentina.
También Argentina quiere apoyar este proyecto.
Thank you so much. Bulgaria.
Bulgaria also wants to join the other countries to support these amendments. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Rwanda.
Rwanda is also joining other countries to support this amendment.
Thank you so much. Zambia. Zambia.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. Zambia would also like to join the rest of the members to support the motion.
Thank you so much. Greece.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Greece also would like to support this amendment.
Thank you so much. Belgium.
Likewise, Mr. Chair, we'd like to join. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Ethiopia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ethiopia would like also to support the amendments.
Thank you. Zambia, you have anything to add? So now we can move to the examination of the draft decision. As you can see, paragraph 1 and paragraph 2, there are no amendments. Can we adopt the two paragraphs as they are? I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 3, there is amendment. Do you agree with this proposal? I see no objection. So adopted as amended. Paragraph 4 and 5, there are no amendments. Do you agree to accept them as they are? I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 6, there is a proposal. Do you agree with this proposal? I see no objections. So adopted as amended. Paragraph 7, we have a proposal. Do you agree with the amended paragraph? I see no objections, so the paragraph adopted as amended. Paragraph 8 and paragraph 9, there is no amendment. Do you agree to adopt them as they are? I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 10 and 11, there is no amendment. Do you agree to adopt them as they are? I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 11 and 13, there are no amendments. Do you agree to accept them as they are? I see no objection. Adopted. Paragraph 14, there is a proposal. Do you agree with the proposed amendment? I see no objection. The proposed amendment adopted. Paragraph 15, there is no amendment. Do you agree to accept it as it is? I see no objection. Adopted. So now, therefore, I declare the draft decision 45.7a.15 adopted as amended. So we have a request from the floor from one of the NGOs. So would you please take the floor, introduce yourself, and address your statement within 2 minutes, please. Thank you.
Thank you, Your Excellency. I am representing Rivers Without Boundaries International Coalition. My name is Eugene Simonov, and I congratulate parties on agreeing on the decision on tropical heritage of Sumatra. And I want to express our sincere wish that further interaction between the convention bodies and the state party, including monitoring and early examination of development proposals, will look into all hydropower projects on the rivers flowing through, from, and around the properties, especially in Lozer ecosystem part. This is not only 4 dams listed in this decision, there are many more dams planned, and unless this is examined early in a strategic manner, it may cause a lot of damage to this magnificent ecosystem and this magnificent freshwater biodiversity of this wonderful island. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much. So we move to the examination not for discussion, nature site in Asia Pacific, and I invite Mr. Londo Sumo to read the list of the properties which reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. The following property is proposed for adoption without discussion. East Renal Solomon Islands. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on this state of conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. So now we move to Europe and North America region, or group. So there is no sites open for discussion. And I now invite also the director to read the list of the properties of the Europe and North America region for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. The property proposed for adoption without discussion is Everglades National Park, United States of America. Thank you.
Thank you very much. If there is no objection from the committee on this state of conservation report, I declare the decision read out adopted. Moving to the Latin America and the Caribbean, concerning the cultural properties, I invite also the director to read the list of the cultural properties inscribed on the list of the World Heritage in Danger located in the Latin America and the Caribbean region, for which the reports are proposed for adoption without discussion. You may have the floor.
Thank you, Chairperson. The following properties are proposed for adoption without discussion. City of Potosi, Bolivia, plurinational states of Bolivia, sorry. And then fortifications on the Caribbean side of Panama, Portobelo, San Lorenzo, Panama. And then Chanchan Archaeological Zone, Peru. And the last one, Coro and its port, Venezuela, Bolivarian Republic. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you very much. So if there's no objections from the committee on this state of conservation report, I declare the decisions read out adopted. Examining the culture properties in Africa region, now I would like to invite the Secretariat and ECOMOS to present the reports on the state of conservation of the cultural properties located in the African region and open for discussion. You may have the floor. So here we are examining actually the site of tombs of Buganda, kings at Kasabi in Uganda.
Mr. Chair. Mr. Chair, distinguished member of committee, at its 44th session in Fuzhou, China, online meeting in 2021, the World Heritage Committee requested the State Party of Uganda to invite a joint World Heritage Center, ICOMOS, ICROM reactive monitoring mission to the tomb of Buganda Kingdom of Kasubi World Heritage Property to review the current state of conservation and evaluate whether the conditions for the removal of the property from the list of World Heritage in Danger have been met. In response to the invitation by the State Party received on 14th April 2023, this reactive monitoring mission to the property was carried out from 11th to 14th June 2023, and the report is available to the committee on the web of World Heritage site. Mr. Chair, as you recall, distinguished committee member, as you recall, following the destruction by fire of Mazubi Mzala Mpanga at the property on 10th March 2010, the World Heritage Committee, in its decision 34-7B.53, placed the tomb of Buganda kings at Kasubi on the World Heritage in Danger. Following year, in 2011, the World Heritage Committee adopted a desired state of conservation for the removal of the property from the World Heritage List in Danger and set corrective measures which are available in decision 35-7R.17. Ever since the fire, the World Heritage Center organized around 15 technical and advisory missions to the property in order to assist the state party in the reconstruction of Mazibu Azal Mpanga. The report of all of this mission can be found in the website of World Heritage Center and the links provided in the State of Conservation report. The World Heritage Center also mobilized substantial funding and technical support from the international community that were fundamental to the reconstruction effort by the state party and to reach the required condition for the removal of the property from the World Heritage List in danger. In this regard, I would like to recall, in particular, the generous contribution from the government of Japan received in 2013 to support for the project entitled Technical and Financial Assistance for the Reconstruction of Mazibu Azal Mpanga and Technical Master and Architectural Masterpiece of the Tomb of Buganda Kingdom, Kasubi, Uganda, World Heritage Property. The project offered emergency assistance to Uganda and accompanied them in rehabilitating the property in view of its removal from the list of World Heritage Danger. In 2020, thanks to emergency international assistance, and they completed with the support of UNESCO Heritage Fund, we provided financial technical assistance to assist the urgent procurement and installation of firefighting system at the property, as well as training in fire prevention and disaster risk management for the site management authority, local community members of Buganda Kingdom living in the compound of the World Heritage Property. In addition, in 2018, the committee requested the state party to develop guidelines for the buffer zone using historical urban landscape approach. Thanks to the generous support from the government of Norway, UNESCO is supporting Uganda in developing guidelines. Next, please. Despite technical support, our work in Kasubi show the importance of dialogue and the trust between Secretariat, advisory body, and the state party. The dialogue and trust created an enabling environment that through several and regular meetings, the technical review, UNESCO, and the advisory body continue to support the state party toward the implementing the corrective measures. The State of the Convention report proposed the present committee session reflect the finding and conclusion of the Joint World Heritage Center ECOMOS Reactive Monitoring Mission to the Tomb of Kasubi, Kingdom of Kasubi World Heritage Property, and it is with satisfaction and pride that the mission recommended the removal of the site from World Heritage List in danger. I would like to end my intervention by saying that this is a good and inspiring example of how collaboration between the state party, the UNESCO World Heritage Center, and advisory body, as well as support by international community following the inscription of the site on the World Heritage List in danger, can allow them to reach their target in implementing the corrective measure so that their site can be removed from the danger list. Mr. Chair, ECOMOS would like to give further comment on this. So, thank you.
Thank you so much. ECOMOS, you may have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chair. Esteemed Chairperson, distinguished members of the committee. The destruction by fire over a decade ago of the Mazibu Azal Mpanga, the sacred structure housing the tombs of the Buganda kings at Kasubi, was a tragedy which at the time seemed insurmountable. Following the fire of 2010, the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies, informed by the studies presented by the State Party, concluded that the significance of the destroyed building lay partly in the way it reflected typical Bugandan traditions, but also in its size, elaboration, and sacred use, which set it apart from other structures. We also noted that buildings such as the Mazibu Azal Mpanga need constant maintenance and irregularly timed renewal. Their fabric cannot all be maintained over time. The authenticity of their structures lie more in a reflection of traditional materials and practice than in the age of component parts. We considered that a case could be made for the reconstruction of the Mazibu Azal Mpanga building, provided that a clear reconstruction strategy was set out and agreed in advance, which set out the rationale for the chosen approach and provided clear documentary evidence. We advised then that the overall reconstruction process needed to be carefully managed, that it required detailed documentation, and also needed close monitoring by the World Heritage Committee in order to ensure full recovery of the property's outstanding universal value. the desired state of conservation for removal from the list in danger, and the associated corrective measures adopted by the committee at its 35th session in 2011, that is, in the year directly following the fire and the inscription of the property onto the list in danger, provided both a roadmap for the reconstruction and a framework for dialogue and collaboration on national and international level. Key achievements to date include the reconstruction of the Mazibu Azala Mpanga, the restoration of the Bujabukula or gatehouse, and the completion of the master plan for the property. It is most welcome that the firefighting system has been installed in the tombs area of the property, supported by the Japanese Funds in Trust for the Preservation of the World Cultural Heritage and the World Heritage Fund. It has been most beneficial that the process towards achieving a desired state of conservation has been characterized by a close and continued collaboration with the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies through document exchange and technical review, but also, for instance, through the ICOMOS advisory consultancy for the finalization of the elaboration of the master plan for the property afforded through the World Heritage Fund. ICOMOS expresses its appreciation for the strong commitment and engagement of the government's national and local authorities, as well as the traditional custodians and managers, the Buganda Kingdom authorities, and the Kasubi local communities as the custodians of the sacred site. This experience provides a model for the cooperation of government institutions and traditional ones for the management of World Heritage property. Their dedication to the project and to the spirit of close collaboration has not only led to the reconstruction of the Mazibu Azala Mpanga, but also to the revival of traditional customs and practices associated with the requirements of rituals to sustain the aura and sacredness of the tombs of the Buganda kings at Kasubi. While we conclude that the desired state of conservation for removal of the property from the list in danger has been met, additional measures need to be put in place to ensure the safeguarding of the OUV of this property in the future. The 2023 Reactive Monitoring Mission recommended, amongst others, that the state party implement measures to ensure the long-term sustainable availability of human, financial, and material resources, specifically spear grass, for the long-term maintenance of the property. Urban pressures remain. The drafting of urban development guidelines made possible through the Norway funds and the stated intent of the state party to investigate extending the buffer zone of the property are welcome and important. Current reviewing of the management and disaster risk management plans is welcome, and ICOMOS anticipates continued collegial interaction either through discussions with the state party or through document review processes. Mr. Chairman, please allow me, on behalf of the advisory bodies ICOMOS and ICROM, to extend our thanks to the state party and the traditional custodians of the property, the Buganda Kingdom, as well as the international partners for the spirit in which the process has unfolded over the last decade, and to extend a warm-hearted word of congratulations for the progress that they have been able to demonstrate. Thank you. Shukran.
Shukran jazilan. So I'd like to know if there are any comments, interventions. Japan, you may have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. Because I have already referred to this project in my previous interventions, I'm not going to repeat those, but after hearing the explanations from the Secretariat as well as the evaluation bodies, this is indeed a very, very good example of successful collaboration among the center and ICOMOS, ICROM, and also international partners. This is a very successful example. And in that context, I would like to extend our appreciation to all the people concerned, the World Heritage Center, ICOMOS, and Norway, all the concerned parties, and first and foremost, most importantly, the state party of Uganda for this great success. Now, from that perspective, we would like to support the draft decision very strongly. Thank you very much, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Saltanat Oman.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Oman would like to thank the advisory body and the World Heritage Center for all the excellent work and efforts. Oman would like also to congratulate Uganda for this remarkable achievement and great success. We also support the draft decision. Thank you.
Shukran jazilan. Italy?
Italy too would like to congratulate Uganda for all these extraordinary efforts carried out in addressing the recommendations of the previous decision of the committee that have made it possible the extraordinary result of the removal from the World Heritage List in danger. This represents really a successful example of the virtuous synergies stem from the state parties' sincere efforts, the constant collaboration with advisory body, and the international collaboration thanks to the financial support of Japan and Norway that added their resources to the resources of the World Heritage Fund. And for this reason, we strongly support the draft decision.
Thank you very much. Mali?
Merci bien, Monsieur le Président. Les tombes des rois du Bouganda ont été classées en 2001 et ravagées par un incendie en mars. Ce site est un chef-d'œuvre du génie humain. Son architecture traditionnelle est unique et n'a pas son équivalent ailleurs. Rappelons que le site a été restauré et un système de lutte contre les incendies installé pour éviter qu'une catastrophe du genre ne se reproduise. L'État parti et le gouvernement du Bouganda ont travaillé très sérieusement pour garantir que le site retrouve ainsi son état d'origine. Nous tenons donc à saluer les efforts considérables déployés par l'État parti pour préserver la VIE de ce merveilleux patrimoine. Ces efforts doivent être encouragés avec des décisions positives du comité afin d'inciter davantage l'État parti à plus d'engagement pour assurer une préservation, une gestion idoine du bien, conformément aux engagements conformément aux orientations de notre Convention sur la protection du patrimoine mondial. Aussi, apportons-nous notre plein appui aux amendements proposés au projet de décision aux fins du retrait du bien de la liste du patrimoine en péril. Je vous remercie.
Thank you very much. Russian Federation.
Спасибо, господин председатель. Решение, которое вынесено на обсуждение, очень важное, и я уверен, и судя по участникам, по членам комитета, оно привлекло внимание. Оно очень важное для членов комитета, для которых, наверное, нет ничего приятнее, чем исключать объект наследия из списка, находящегося под угрозой. И мы понимаем, проведена длительная и сложная работа с участием правительства Уганды, с участием Центра всемирного наследия, консультативных органов стран-доноров. Высоко оцениваем эти усилия и приветствуем твердую решимость всех заинтересованных участников процесса, включая государственные, национальные и местные органы власти, а также местных общин Касуби в качестве хранителей священных мест, сохранить для будущих поколений то уникальное наследие, которое принадлежит всему человечеству. Выражаем благодарность всем экспертам и реставраторам и, конечно, поддерживаем решение. Спасибо.
Thank you very much. South Africa.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. South Africa was very saddened by the fires that seriously impacted the tombs of Uganda kings at Kasubi. The fires threatened the outstanding universal value of this important property. We were, however, comforted by the overwhelming response of the international community, which included availing of expertise and financial resources. With the support of the African World Heritage Fund, the World Heritage Center, advisory bodies, and many state parties, we witnessed the impressive commitment by the State Party of Uganda in turning around the tragic event by tirelessly working to restore the property and introducing disaster preparedness measures to prevent similar occurrences happening in the future. Today, we join other committee members in congratulating the State Party of Uganda on a job well done. I thank you.
Thank you very much. Zambia, you have the floor.
As the State Party of Zambia, we wish to congratulate the Buganda Kingdom on being able to meet the desired state of conservation for the Kasubi tombs. We also further wish to congratulate them on the good work done on being able to implement guidelines in line with the historic urban landscape, and also being able to put in place measures for disaster risk management. We would also wish to commend all those who were able to support the kingdom, the Africa World Heritage Fund, the World Heritage Center, Norway, Japan, and others who may have been involved in one way or another to support the kingdom. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Belgica.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'd like to join many colleagues in congratulating the government of Uganda. We'd like to say that this success story is actually also an excellent proof on how in danger listing can trigger a mechanism to secure conservation. We hope that this can serve as a perfect example for other sites, and we also hope that it may change the perception of endangered listing, which it clearly does not have to be an endpoint, quite the contrary. Finally, it also showcases the importance of capacity building, which was already discussed earlier in our session. In conclusion, we'd like to congratulate all actors involved, and obviously we support the DR. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Argentina. Argentina, you have the floor.
No escuché. Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Bueno, quiero sumarme. Queremos celebrar el retiro de la lista de peligro de las tumbas de los reyes de Buganda, sobre todo porque esto es una muestra de la dedicación, del esfuerzo, de la colaboración y el rol fundamental que ha desempeñado la Secretaría, ICOMOS, el Centro Patrimonio Mundial, la comunidad internacional, ICROM, y esto creo que es un mensaje muy fuerte y hay que reconocer el esfuerzo del Estado parte y de toda la comunidad internacional. Por lo tanto, queremos apoyar este proyecto de resolución y no solo apoyarlo, sino también festejarlo.
Thank you very much. India.
Thank you, Excellency. I just wanted to suggest, I know everybody is very tired. If we all have our congratulatory messages to be given, we could directly go to the draft decision and we could have an amendment wherein we congratulate and all member states can add their names to it. Perhaps that would keep the discussion short because we have 205 SOC reports and 53 nominations, but we are in your hands, Excellency. And with that, please add our name also to the number of member states congratulating the State Party of Uganda. Thank you.
Egypt, would you like to take the floor?
It's very difficult to contradict with my Indian colleague, and I stick to my personal message addressing the delegation of Uganda. Our sincere congratulations on the removal of the sites of tombs of Buganda kings of Kasubi from the list of World Heritage in danger. We commend the efforts of the State Party and the assistance provided by the World Heritage Center and ICOMOS to achieve this result with the generous support of Japan and Norway. This is an outstanding success story and model that should be widely applied on the World Heritage Sites in danger in order to remove them from this list. We're looking forward to enhance the cooperation with the World Heritage Center and the advisory bodies to continue their efforts and technical assistance to the African and Arab states parties in order to apply the corrective measures necessary for lifting their sites from the danger list. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. It seems that I understand your point of view, Your Excellency, Ambassador of India, and I think everyone wanted to congratulate which is the aim and the success of this convention. So maybe like, because there are remaining a couple of state parties, and we will pass them the floor and then we move to the next item. دولة قطر.
شكرا سيد الرئيس. دولة قطر تنظم of course, we congratulate Uganda in their efforts, and Qatar want to join all member states in supporting the amendment. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
شكرا جزيلا. Rwanda.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is going to be very fast. Rwanda wishes to extend our appreciation to the advisory bodies for the tirelessly work done for the removal of the tombs of Buganda kings of Kasubi on the endangered list. We wish to also congratulate Uganda for the work done, and we of course wish to support the draft decision. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mexico.
Muchas gracias, señor presidente. Igual nos incorporamos a esta felicitación, por favor, a el Estado parte de Uganda. Es un triunfo no solo de Uganda, es un triunfo de la humanidad, del patrimonio mundial. Felicidades a todos.
Thank you very much. Greece.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will be very brief. We would also like to join previous speakers in congratulating the State Party of Uganda for this extremely successful outcome of their strenuous efforts, as well as the governments of Japan and Norway for their overall support. We also express the wish that this case will be an inspiring model for other similar cases in the future, and it goes without saying that Greece fully supports the relevant decision. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you very much. Thailand.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Thailand would like to echo the other speakers in congratulating Uganda for this very important lesson for us. And we'd like to support the amendment. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Decision.
Ethiopia.
Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. I would also be brief. I would like to appreciate the two state parties for their assistance and congratulate Uganda. And also add my country's name to the countries which support the amendments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Saudi Arabia.
نود أن ندعم مشروع القرار ونشكر الجهات الاستشارية. شكرا.
I see no other comments or interventions. So I propose that I invite you to adopt the draft decision 45Com 7A.25 concerning this property. But before doing so, I would like to ask the rapporteur if she has received any amendments.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have received no amendments for this draft decision.
Are there any comments or objections? It seems there's nothing. So therefore, I declare the draft decision 45Com 7A.25 adopted. Now I would like to give the floor to Uganda.
My name is Charles Peter Maiga, the Prime Minister of the Kingdom of Buganda, which is a constituent part of Uganda. It's an honor for us to be here and I salute the chairperson of the committee and the director of the World Heritage Center. We stand with the people of Morocco upon the tragedy of last Friday's earthquake. Kasubi royal tombs were gutted by fire in 2010, and actual restoration processes, the works, started in 2013. The Kingdom of Uganda and the central government of Uganda have worked together to oversee the restoration process. We appreciate the financial support we received from the governments of Uganda, Japan, Norway, and UNESCO through the World Heritage Fund, which contributed to the restoration process. The Kingdom of Uganda provided the biggest financial support. The restoration process has taken long because the Kingdom of Uganda had to ensure that essential cultural and spiritual practices were strictly adhered to. The restoration works require significant financial, material, and human resources whose insufficiency would impede the speed at which we operated. We are at the final but still critical stage of the restoration process. It is gratifying to be part of this meeting during which recommendations for removal of Kasubi tombs from the list of World Heritage Properties in danger have been made. And we appreciate all the support extended and exhibited here. More funding and support will go a long way in augmenting our efforts to fully restore and present this most sacred property to the world. We shall manage the tombs with a view to maintaining their authenticity and cultural, spiritual values. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, and congratulations again on behalf of the committee and in my own name, the Star Party of Uganda, for this wonderful achievement. So now we came to the end of our session. I would like to give some announcements before we conclude. If you can take the floor, Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. This is just to announce that tonight we have 3 side events happening. The first one will be the event of Global Compact UN Partnership for Sustainable and Resilient World Heritage, which is organized by Event Global Compact UN, and this will take place at Rock Cat Room starting from 6:30. And then we have the side event titled Raising Ambitions, IUCN's New Strategy on World Heritage, organized by IUCN, and it will take place at the advisory body space, Hegra Room, starting from 6:30. And then finally, we have the exhibition on the World Heritage Volunteers Initiative in the side event space. And we are pleased to invite you to the opening of the photo exhibition on the World Heritage Volunteers Initiative, which engages youth internationally in concrete preservation of activities at the World Heritage sites. The opening will take place today at the plenary. We remind the delegates that this would also be a chance to interact with the young professionals from the forum who presented their message to all. And on my personal name, Mr. Chairperson, I would really like to thank the State Party of Uganda, as I've been working with them since the first days of the fire. Congratulations to the people of Uganda. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dear colleagues, we will resume our work tomorrow at 10 a.m. and we will start with the examination also of other items on 7A, and the bureau meeting also will start at 9:30. Thank you so much. The session is over.
Ladies and gentlemen, we would like to inform you that the 5 scheduled night visits to the Line Exhibition, Al-Masmak Palace and Souq al-Zal, Hijra Exhibition, Al-Turaif District and Boulevard Riyadh City are confirmed. Please proceed to the pickup and drop-off areas allocated at the Prince Sultan Hall. We would like to also announce that the Night Visit Center is now open and is located outside the plenary exit on the right side. Thank you.